Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be creating some really fun interactive cards using new stamps and dies from the Lawn Fawn May 2021 release. These are Happy Hugs, Reveal Wheel, and Magic Iris interactive cards. In addition to new product, you may notice there's some older product in here too, or previously released product. That is because, hands down, my favorite thing about Lawn Fawn products is that you can mix and match and kind of breathe new life into those products you may have already previously purchased. And it all works together so seamlessly. Excuse me. We are going to start with the Reveal Wheel and then the brand new Reveal Wheel Thought Bubble add-on. With this, you get not only the piece to die cut the thought bubble from your Reveal Wheel panel, whether you're using the rectangular panel or the square panel, but then two different options for an outline, or for that layering piece, I guess I should say, for that. Now I kind of need to figure out placement, and when it came to placement, I knew I wanted to use the Happy Hugs hugging mice inside of the Reveal Wheel, and so I was looking for a mouse because the Happy Hugs set didn't really have a sitting type of mouse character. They have a couple of other ones, but not a sitting mouse that I felt like was looking up into his thought bubble thinking, you know, of this little saying and then the mice hugging. And so I went to Bubbles of Joy to grab that guy and just figured out where I need my landscape to go on my Reveal Wheel panel. Once I had that, I am using the hillside border stencil to go ahead and stencil my ground here. This is with some artichoke Lawn Fawn ink and an ink blending brush. And we are going to give a really nice coverage to this area, darker up near the top and then gradually lightening towards the bottom of the panel. A lot of times when I have a lot of stuff going on in a scene card, stencils are my go-to as far as background building, because they're going to eliminate a little bit of that bulk and make it really, really easy to add all the other little parts and pieces, which you're going to see here in a little bit. Once I have my landscape inked, I want to go ahead and clean my stencil just so I don't get that ink anywhere else, but I'm not going to put it away yet. We want to hold on to that for a second and use that to then move down and cover up what we just inked. This is so important because we are going to be stenciling the top part of the card and we don't want that color to bleed into what we've already done. Once I have my Reveal Wheel panel taped in place, then we're going to tape in place the hillside stencil. We're going to take the Cloudy Day stencil and we are going to create this beautiful cloudy sky up above our landscape line. This is the traditional or regular square stencil from Lawn Fawn. If you don't have the hillside stencil that I just used, there are new slimline hillside stencils. I will be showing those in another video coming next week, so stay tuned for that for some slimline style cards, but we'll be using slimline stencils with that, so I can't wait to share that with you. I am using a little Moonstone, I think that's the right color. Sorry guys, I'm going to double check that really quick. Nope. Kiddie Pool. I knew I was wrong. This is the Kiddie Pool ink. I will tell you, I was completely, the colors I used were completely inspired by the images I'm going to use for this card. I had done a different background prior to this off camera. Well, I did it on camera, I deleted it all, that I didn't like. I didn't feel like the colors complemented the dandelions very well, or the mice. So Kiddie Pool and Artichoke are the two colors I picked here. Plus I felt like on my previous panel, I tried to use too many of the cloudy borders. So I used a few less here. I am going to do just a teeny tiny bit up top. And I'm really being careful not to overlap any of the borders. I don't like how it looks when the harsh lines overlap, and that had happened on my previous background too. It was just a no-go from the beginning. Sometimes that happens, that's okay. And I had actually done it a different day than this. I'd let it sit for a couple of days just because it was not working out. I was trying to force it, and when you're trying to force it, it often doesn't go well. At least in my experience, that never works out. Now that we have our background built, I'm going to stamp the images I'm going to use on the front panel of our card on some Bristol Smooth cardstock with Lawn Fawn Jellyfish ink. I know a lot of you have been asking me what I've been using to press on the cover of my Misty. It's a hockey puck. My friend Susan gave it to me a couple weekends ago. I didn't have anything to use with me to press on my Misty cover, and it has been such a lifesaver. It is a very inexpensive way. If it hurts your hands like it hurts mine to press on the cover of your Misty, I think they are fantastic just for using to press that down. So now I am going to no line color my images with Tombow dual brush markers. You can get similar results with any of your favorite water-based markers. That could be Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I know there's others. This is the other thing from my previous card that I tried to create that wasn't working, is I stamped with black ink and was coloring with Copics, which is totally fine. But I didn't love it. And as I was working through this card, I just kind of had this realization of maybe what it is I love about no line coloring, and I guess I thought I would share it today, especially with images like this. I would say Lawn Fawn or Mama Elephant, or any of those companies that we love that have these smaller images like this. That don't have tons and tons of detail. When there is loads of detail, I sometimes am overwhelmed by no line coloring, but these are pretty simple lines, right? I think what I love about no line is that it gives more depth and dimension. I think that I have come to this point when I stamp with a black outline, I almost feel like it gives it a one-dimensional look and it flattens it out, and it's just not quite as interesting to me. Either that, or because the images are so small, there's a lot of black, and I think my eye is just not loving it. And so I actually stamped and colored all of these guys, and I didn't love it at all. Sometimes that happens. It's totally fine. Again, I had done it a different day, like maybe 2 to 3 days before I actually did this video, but I just kind of had come to that realization. And I know there's a lot of steps to this. I know that the interactive cards are a little bit more work. I am not going to tell you these were quick and easy. They were not quick. I don't think they're difficult, but they're not quick. There's a lot to them. For me personally, I love a really full scene. These images are small, so I really work to fill it out and make it look complete. But it was worth it. And the coloring wasn't what was time consuming. It really wasn't. The coloring came really fast. It's all the die cutting and then the assembly and just the different steps and pieces to getting it all together. But you guys, I really think it's worth it. I know I've mentioned this to you so many times in the past, but reveal wheels are one of my favorite interactive cards. I'm going to tell you too, I left this in because I want you to see the mistake. I know I didn't leave a ton of mistakes in here today, or I shouldn't say mistakes, but maybe missteps and things that I didn't have that worked out. My original reveal wheel, I put the mice and the sentiments in the wrong place on each of these. They need to be facing towards the center of the reveal wheel. I left this in. I wanted to mention it because if you are building your reveal wheel, please, please, please keep that in mind. Have them facing in towards the center of your reveal wheel. I have done this twice lately. Both times that probably out of everything set me back and made me so mad because I had stamping, no line coloring, masking, inking, all of the things. All of the colors of Tombow dual brush markers I'm using are shown across the top of the screen, plus I have listed them out on my blog post for easy reference. Now off camera, I did die cut all of these images. You can see them laid out here. I have actually not secured anything to my card because I want to stamp my sentiments here along the bottom edge before I adhere them. And I thought I would do a clear embossing, and I did not love it. Before I heat embossed the white powder, I actually brushed it away. I heat set the bottom of my panel, and we are instead going to use the artichoke ink. Now the sentiment from Happy Hugs is too long for the bottom of my panel. So what I did was mask off part of it, and I started at the bottom and stamped the Your Way exclamation point first. Then I cleaned my stamp. I'm going to move up that same phrase, and we're going to stamp the rest of the phrase, sending happy thoughts, right above that, again with the artichoke green ink. These are dye inks. They will fade just a tiny bit. I want to mention that now. I will talk about that more with the next card because it makes a bigger impact. The artichoke is going to be nice and dark though, and dark enough. And I also love that it just kind of coordinates and complements the design, where it's not just like a harsh black sentiment drawing your eye in. Stamping and embossing would have been very pretty. I will tell you the reason I opted not to do the stamping and embossing is no matter how hard I try, there, maybe not always, because I do really work not to, but there's some warping of the panel when you heat emboss. And while normally that doesn't bother me, I was going to have to do that 4 times to this panel because of how I'm stamping my sentiments. And I was really afraid it was going to warp the reveal wheel panel beyond what was going to look good for the finished card. And after stamping my sentiments with colorful ink, it really encouraged me to do that for the next card as well because I really, really like it. I tend to gravitate towards a white embossed sentiment. So it was really fun to kind of get out of my comfort zone here, as well as save my panel and keep it nice and flat. Now, I need to lay out my scene so I kind of know where to go with the rest of my sentiment. Something else I did for both of my cards today is I'm mixing and matching sentiments from multiple sets, and I'm having a lot of sentiment on the front of the card. This is not something I do a lot of. I love it. I think you're going to see a lot more of this because I really, really think this is a fun way to kind of fill in some area, but also really tell a cute little story on your scene card. So our next 2 phrases are from Dandy Day, which is, of course, is where our dandelions and the mouse with the dandelion. I love that there's so many sets now with mice in them. Obviously, my card was influenced and inspired by the hugging mice in the new Happy Hug set, but I've now pulled a mouse from Bubbles of Joy. I've pulled one from Dandy Day, so definitely go back, see your other stamp sets, and see what you can mix and match together. I am finishing my sentiments, so it's going to read from top to bottom. I think you're dandy, in parentheses, and I'm not lying. Sending happy thoughts your way. I thought those flowed together so well. They're the same font. I like kind of the mixy-matchy of it. Oh my goodness, you guys. I really, really love how it worked out. I also like that I did not stack them one right on top of another. The bottom part of the sentiment, sending happy thoughts your way, I centered it or eyeballed it as close as I could, and then I shifted over the rest of it to the left. This provides room for my scene that I'm building, and I think it adds a little bit of interest as well, especially when you have a lot of text. I am now gluing all of my little scene pieces in place, as well as that Thought Bubble Reveal Wheel frame add-on. I've die cut that from some Lawn Fawn number 2 pencil ink. This is important and inspired by the color I am inking for the thought bubble that's going to be rotating around. I used the template there in a little bit different way. I used it kind of as a template and as a stencil. I'll show you that here in a second. But I'm loving all of these little dandelions. I'm loving the greenery, the yellow, all the yellows, the greens, and the blues together, as well as the little neutral of the mice. And this scene makes me happy. So much fun. I cannot wait to mail this card out to someone. It's just a happy, sweet little card. Now there is a lot going on. So we've got the sentiment down kind of in the bottom fourth, I would say, of the card. And then right in the center, there's a lot. We've got the reveal wheel. We've got our flowers, our dandelions rather. We've got our mice. I also stamped and kind of drew in with my Tombow dual brush marker with the pen tip, the fine nib tip, the dandelions that are kind of floating in the breeze. We're going to scatter those, but it's still a lot of stuff kind of smushed right there in the middle of the card. I don't think it's too much, but I do think that there is a little bit that isn't super balanced, and I feel like there needs to be something up at the top of the card. I talk about this a lot in my scene building videos, just that don't be afraid to add or subtract. Maybe you have too many things. Don't be afraid to add or subtract as you're working and you're actually putting it together. In this case, I'm going to take the little hugging birds image from Happy Hugs, and we're going to stamp and color those and then have them sitting on top of our thought bubble. I thought that would be cute. Plus it's going to add a little different touch of color. We're going to color them in with some blues here in a minute. And I think that's going to balance it nicely, plus add something to the sky without overwhelming the design. So let's go ahead and put some acrylic blocks on everything there to hold it down and flat. Let's go ahead and stamp our birds. I'm just going to use an acrylic block with my Jellyfish No Line Coloring ink. For these little guys, we've got a little chocolate for the bird legs. I'm using that nib tip. And then the brush tip, we're going to be using our bright blue and aqua markers. I did draw in a little belly area that we're going to use, like the bellies look yellow to me, but the color is called peach. I don't know. It's 020. And then we're going to do a little 025, which is light orange for the beaks. I'm going to hold off a second as far as drawing the eyes back in with a fine tip black pen. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but while the ink is still pretty wet, sometimes the ink will bleed. So I always give it a minute and then I will draw those back in. I'm going to use my Happy Hugs the Happy Hugs mice image. Lost my train of thought, and the thought bubble template. So we've got our reveal wheel. That's die cut from Bristol Smooth cardstock. We have our template. I stamped the mice so that they're peeking through one of the thought bubbles. I made a mask with some masking paper. And now I am inking, so I'm using it kind of as a stencil. I know it's a template, so you know where to stamp or add your stuff for the reveal wheel, but I thought it would be fun to use it as a template, and we're inking with butter and number 2 pencil Lawn Fawn inks. This is that yellow I was talking about. It's what influenced me using the number 2 pencil cardstock for that die cut that goes on the front of the panel. I have inked up the areas now. I'm going to clean my template because I still need it as far as lining up my sentiments I want to add to this. So let's go ahead and go back to Happy Hugs and grab the Thinking of You and then one of the just standalone you phrases. Now, because it says Thinking of You, I don't want it to be thinking of you. As this spins around, I want it to be mice, thinking of ... and then you. So I'm just going to kind of carefully mask off the word you from the thinking of sentiment. And then I need to make my mask smaller. I'm using a little scrap of Post-it tape. Not Post-it tape, Post-it note. Golly, you guys, I am so sorry. And I'm going to stamp those with the number 2 pencil ink, so it's tone on tone, much like the sentiments on the front panel of our reveal wheel. So let's just take a peek. I want to see how this works. Yep, looking good. That's going to be so much better than the first one. I'm just going to peel up my mask, and we are going to color in these mice from Happy Hugs, much like we did the other mice. I don't think I'm coloring these on camera. Just reference the colors I used before to know how I colored these guys in. I wanted to save just a little bit of time, so I don't think I ended up coloring all of these here. And then we're going to assemble our reveal wheel really quick like. I have the reveal wheel, I have some foam adhesive on the back. I'm going to line up that thought bubble. I'm going to double check I have another reveal wheel panel for the backing, and we're going to just press that down in place. I will link to some additional videos in the description box and at the end of this video if you want a more detailed instruction on how that reveal wheel is assembled. If this is new to you, I will definitely link to that so you can see the steps broken down a little bit more. There I just drew in some little dots. I drew in the faces of my mice. How sweet are those? I love that they're up in the little thought bubble, so it looks like the bubbles of joy. Mouse is looking up and dreaming of hugging. Just so cute. Maybe he's missing someone. It's just a really, really fun idea. I'm going to fill my backing piece now with foam adhesive. I tend to go over the top. I like there to not be any places that get indented, so you definitely would not have to use this much foam adhesive. I like it, so I use it. The end. Anyway, we're going to remove the backing paper and place our panel on top, and oh my gosh, you guys, we are almost finished. How cute! Thinking of you, and then the mice hugging. I love it. We have one last step. We're going to take our card base. We're going to take a little turn me phrase from the Lawn Fawn Reveal Wheel Circle Sentiments. Now the regular Reveal Wheel Sentiments is going to have the arrow going the other way. So you're going to be kind of turning clockwise. This one's going counterclockwise. I specifically picked this one because it makes more sense for how I stamped my sentiments. So I'm going to stamp that with the kiddie pool ink to coordinate with my card. It says turn me with the arrow going in the right direction. And then I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of my reveal wheel and pop that in place. And look how seamless that looks with the sentiment of turn me in the same color as the cloudy sky. We're gonna just put this right on our white top fold card base. And there is our first card. How much fun is that? I love it. Let's move on to a Magic Iris card, you guys. So Magic Iris is super fun as well. It reveals something inside. It can be a sentiment, or in this case an image. We're going to do another thought bubble themed card. I wanted to show two different versions of this with two different interactive cards. I have got my Magic Iris add-on here, as well as the cloudy stencil. We're again going to be creating a cloudy sky, this time all over the panel with the kiddie pool ink and our cloudy stencil. Now the reason this particular design is clouds all over is there's really not room with this big Magic Iris thought bubble to have a landscape and have anything else for this card. Maybe with a different one you would have room. It's completely up to you, obviously, however you want to do that. But I'm going to be like cutting off my critter and the flowers and things along the bottom, almost like this is a snapshot view zoomed in. I hope that makes sense. So there's not going to be landscape. Imagine it's down below. Then I have my Magic Iris Thought Bubble add-on also die cut from smooth white cardstock. We are going to ink this up with the butter and number 2 pencil inks. I will tell you, I so wish that I had left my center circle in place when I inked this originally. I am going to go back, grab it, and go ahead and ink it back up so that it matches, because that's going to go inside of our card design. But you can always go back and ink it. It's not a big deal. In fact, I went and grabbed it here, and I'm just going to ink it up. I'm going to kind of temporarily hold it in place with a little tape until I get it looking just like the outer edge, because this is going to be in the background. This is what's going to show when you open the magic iris and see the fox and bunny hugging. Let's just pop out that cloud piece. We are actually not going to be using that today. I'm going to position my happy hugs, hugging fox and bunny. The sitting bunny is from Butterfly Kisses. Again, I think it's brilliant that you can go back to different stamp sets and pick images that are going to work with the new ones. So in addition to the bunny from Butterfly Kisses, we've got blades of grass, we have butterflies, then we're going to, from Dandy Day, use some dandelions. I am not going to color the dandelions on camera for you guys, since I did that earlier in the video and I just did something very similar here. I will tell you that after I got to assembling the card, and you're going to see that in the card assembly, I'm going to go back and add the hugging birds from Happy Day. I felt like I needed a little bit more to the card. And then there's a little heart from Happy Day. How about Happy Hugs? There's a heart from Happy Hugs. I added 1 and the birds, and I thought I needed 3 total, so I'm going to stamp 2 more of those. So there are a few little things like that that I'm not going to do on camera, but I think that they really add to the overall finished look of the card. For our fox, we're going to color him first. Again, all no line coloring. I think it softens it just a little bit too. Both of these cards to me just feel like very soft and touchable. That might be really dorky. Sometimes these are the things I think about when I'm creating, but I really wanted soft looking cards. So the puffy soft blue of kiddie pool ink in the clouds in the background, and then all the little dandelions, and then the little critters, all colored with kind of soft colors of ink. Our bunnies are going to be colored exactly the same with saddle brown and light sand. There will be a little baby pink for the inside of the ears. Baby pink is what I used for cheeks on most of the critters. You'll notice I'll color in the cheek, but they're water-based markers. They're going to pick up some of that other color. So I will clean the tip of the marker before going back so you get that little touch of pink. Let's color our little sitting bunny. Again, same colors here for him. Then the blades of grass, I stamped the large and small from Butterfly Kisses. I'm actually going to end up using 2 of the larger size. Just one of those things that after you start assembling, you can see where your holes might be and what you might need more of. That definitely was the case with this card. This one was a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but I didn't have as good of a plan, a pre-plan. I knew kind of the main images I wanted to use, but I ended up going back and adding quite a few with all the dandelions, grass, hearts, birds, all that good stuff. Our butterflies are going to provide some nice little pops of color. So we've got a pink butterfly with carnation and baby pink. We have peacock blue and lilac for our little purple butterfly. And then we're going to have a little orange guy with orange and light orange. The antennae and the bodies of the butterflies will be added here in just a minute. I am going to use this black fine tip pen for that. You can see I'm going back in and adding face details and then going and doing the butterflies. They've probably had enough time to dry a little bit. I definitely don't want that black bleeding into the color. This is where I was talking about with the first card. I'm doing something similar by stacking sentiments. So we have sentiments from Happy Hugs and Butterfly Kisses. The uppercase sentiments are from Happy Hugs. The smaller lowercase sentiment is from Butterfly Kisses. In theory, stamping these with kiddie pool ink for that tone-on-tone look that worked so well for the first card seemed like a good idea. And while the ink is wet, it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was quite as dark as I wanted, but it was still legible. It was still readable. I like it. I am going to kind of offset my sentiments like I did for the first card. I went ahead and I stamped them all. I'm even moving my stamps off so that I can kind of squish them together a little bit more. I like each line of my text to be closer than they would be if I tried to stamp them all at one time. But I am not going to move this final I miss you because I could tell right away this is not going to be dark enough. By the time I got to this point, I was like, this isn't going to work, but I'm going to let it dry for a minute. We're going to go ahead and assemble all of the things. We're going to put our cover together. We're going to start building all of our little critters along the bottom of our scene. But I knew this wasn't going to work. It's too light. It's drying as I am building this. What I'm going to end up doing is stamping over it with the Lawn Fawn Peacock ink, which is a nice little bit darker ink, blue ink, and it makes all the difference. I think you'll notice, maybe you noticed it before I started the assembly here with the finished card photos, that it's nice and dark. I did, however, stamp the butterfly trails in the kiddie pool ink, and I like that they're really soft and subtle. I usually do them in black, and I have to say that this was a kind of a nice little touch because it isn't quite as glaring in your face. So all of the butterfly trails from Butterfly Kisses are going to be from the, or in that kiddie pool ink color. Now I don't want to forget the little thought bubble coming down to our bunny, because that little guy there is going to make it a thought bubble. Otherwise, I think it kind of looks like a cloud, which is kind of, I mean, it can be really cute used that way, but it wasn't what I wanted. So we've got our thought bubble. In order to get the color on that, I did not show it, but I just took my ink blending brush, inked up a scrap of white cardstock, and then die cut that little piece from that. So I didn't have to try to ink this little outline. I thought it would be easier to just ink the cardstock first. So I've got kind of my stuff laid out. Let's go ahead and assemble our things. Let's stamp our little butterfly trails. And then let's assemble all of our little goodies. And they're all hanging off the bottom edge. Remember, this is very much on purpose because I think scale-wise, this works a lot better than trying to have them overlap our thought bubble, which to me didn't feel quite as natural. So imagine that reveal wheel panel extending down past where it is and assemble your images. And then once dry, we can go ahead and just snip all of those off with our scissors. And I'm holding everything flat while that liquid glue is drying, using some acrylic blocks. My leaves did not want to stay put. I'm actually going to clamp those with some reverse closing tweezers that stay closed all the time. They are my secret weapon. Then I'm going to snip all of this away because we want to put this back in our Misty. And we want to, my leaves still did not want to stay put. We want to restamp that. So I did restamp it. You can see it's much darker now, much easier to read. You definitely want to have it be easier to read, I think. So let's see, what do we got still? Looks like I forgot one of my butterfly trails, so let's go ahead and add that last one. and glue that guy down. And then kind of see how up above, yeah, we've got a butterfly in our sentiments, but I feel like we need something else. But now comes the part where we are going to assemble our actual magic iris. We need 3 of these pieces here. We need 3 circle pieces from one of the circles. We need the notches die cut out. Again, I will link to a better assembly type of video for magic iris in the description down below if magic iris is new to you and you want a little bit more detailed to that, since we're using add-ons today. But I want these because they are closed part of the time to match my thought bubble. They are inked with butter and number 2 pencil ink. See that little X at the end there? That is where a glue dot is going to go. We need to ink these first, and I am very purposely not inking over that because in the past I have found that the glue dots don't like to stick to that X, and it is a crucial part of the assembly of the magic iris. So that's kind of why I avoided that section. Here is one of our circle pieces. We want to insert the notch into the circle, and then you want each of these pieces to kind of line up with the outer and inner circle with that piece. So I'm holding them in place, and then I'm going to take my glue dots and place them right there. I have tried some different adhesive because that's how I am. Even though Lawn Fawn really suggests glue dots, I thought, something else will work. Not really, you guys. I would love to tell you something else works great, but glue dots, these little glue dots are going to be your best bet if you're making magic iris cards. So I'm just grabbing these with the tip of my scissors and then popping them in place. We're going to take another circle. This one does not have notches in it, and place that right on top. Then we're going to flip the whole thing over and see those little notched areas. We're going to put some adhesive coming straight out from each of those. That little notch near the center. And then we're going to take our 3 little wrapping tabs, and we're going to put one on each of these. We're going to flip it over again, back to the front. We're going to take our little pull tab and place it right here. And then I am going to put adhesive on the tab and place our final circle on top and wrap that tab around to secure it. It is not going to go all the way to the center, but it will go pretty close. We're going to take the add-on that comes with the panel that we placed our background on and die cut our little notch, or our little notch. How about the pull tab? It's a little bit smaller than the notch. We die cut that from some Peacock Lawn Fawn cardstock. All you do is place it right there on top and trim away that excess. This is going to make it line up with the edge of the panel. And I always like to test it out a couple times, make sure it's working. Then I'm going to shut it. You can place adhesive all over the front of your magic iris. You cannot place it all over the back. I'll show you that when we get to it. But you can place it all over the front. We want to line it up with our pull lever and adhere it to the back of our magic iris panel. Then I'm testing it a lot of times. I want it to move very smoothly. On the magic iris component, you can only place adhesive on those little wrapping tabs, so 3 spots. Then I am going to go ahead and back it with some foam adhesive. Because the magic iris component is a little bit thick, I like to use some foam adhesive to help pop it up a little bit, and then we're going to place it on our white top fold card base. I am going to open my magic iris now, and we are going to take that inside circle piece and our hugging fox and bunny from Happy Hugs, and we are going to glue the image to the backing piece first. because anything hanging off the edge, I'm just going to trim away. It probably could be hidden back behind there, but this just works better. Really, if I was redoing this, I probably, or if I had thought ahead is what I should say, I would have put this circle down before I glued this to my panel, just because it's a little easier. You still can do it afterwards. Just make sure that none of your magic iris components are getting stuck. So I just needed to kind of make sure and gently push this all the way to the back. Make sure it's completely flush against the card base. And then, voila, it opens and closes so perfectly. How cute! So I love that you can open it to reveal what's in his little thought bubble. Now, this is where I was talking about I felt like I was missing some things. So we're going to add our cute little birds colored just like from the first card. They're going to be sitting on top of this thought bubble as well. They are from Happy Hugs. There's this little bitty version, which I'm kind of partial to. There's also a bigger version and an individual bird, almost like he's looking up into the thought bubble. Oh, let's move those guys. And then I have a little heart from Happy Hugs that I'm going to place at the end of my sentiment. I did color it with the same pinks I used for the butterfly, and I did not like the pink next to the pink. It was too much light pink up at the top, so I actually colored over this with a little bit of a red marker and blended it out. Plus, I stamped and colored 2 additional hearts that I'm going to add kind of coming up from the sitting bunny along the bottom of our card. I also need to make sure I draw in face details. If there's anything like that that I haven't already done, go ahead and do that right now. I like to test out my magic iris multiple times to make sure that the moving mechanism is working. Look how cute! I just love that hugging image. I think it's just the sweetest. Here's that red marker. We're just going to gently go over this. I left it in because I wanted you to see the visual transformation. I think this just completely changes the whole look, and I love it. I think that makes a world of difference. And there is our cute image, our additional little hearts. We're going to glue those guys down, and that's it, you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed these 2 brand new interactive cards using new products from the Lawn Fawn May 2021 release, paired with previously released stamps, dies, and stencils, also cardstock inks, all the things. This was a Lawn Fawn heavy project. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring interactive Lawn Fawn cards that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.